how do we deliver such an incredible service to our clients that it not only creates loyalty, but drives this sense of commitment to working with us? Guys, my name is JC Hite, and if you're new to one of my videos, I run one of the fastest growing agencies in the United States. Our agencies actually do the work, do the fulfillment for agencies all across the world. We do prospecting and even investing. But without further ado, I want to jump in and talk specifically about how do we serve our clients. So if you like this video, make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, do all of those YouTube things, and let's get started. Now, before I get started, I want to give credit where credit is due. My man, Ron Kaufman, who I've been following for a very long time, wrote the book, literally, on levels of service. So the levels we're going to talk about today is just repurposed specifically for digital marketing for this video. But if you want more information, I'm going to post a link to his LinkedIn as well as to a keynote in the comments below. So make sure to go listen to him because he is the expert. And with that being said, let's jump right into the 5 levels of service. Number 1 is basic. Basic. So whenever I'm hiring a company to do SEO, well, they're doing SEO. And normally what that looks like from a client perspective, if I asked a client like, hey, are you doing SEO with anyone? They're like, yeah, cool. What are they doing for SEO? I really don't know. Oh, when's the last time you talked to them? Well, I've talked to them a couple of months ago, I think, or a couple of weeks ago. Cool. Are they communicating with you? Are they sending you an email? Well, every once in a while they do. It's basic. It's like the most basic level of service to complete the product. That's what we're talking about here. And you can't be doing basic. Basic does nothing for our businesses. Number 2, expected. Like, what do we expect whenever we buy SEO for a client? Well, I expect that if I send them an email, they respond. I expect that they do the things they said they were going to do. I expect that whenever my glass gets empty at the restaurant, the waitress comes around and fills it up. I expect that if I order X, Y, and Z, that they bring me X, Y, and Z. Expected. Like, are you actually doing and fulfilling on what your clients expect from you? And that could be as easy as just asking them, hey, what's your expectations here, right? Because you got to make sure that you can fulfill at bare minimum on their expectations, right? In fact, there's a whole types of videos on setting the right expectations, right? The third level is desired. So, man, I expected that they respond to my emails, but it'd be really great if they responded within a couple of hours. I expect that Bob's available to have a meeting with me anytime I want, but it'd be great if he could meet sooner. I expected my SEO to increase in ranking, but man, I really would like it to be quicker. Like, what do your clients desire from you guys, right? And oh, by the way, like, this can be different for different folks. Like, if I'm paying for Disney World, my desires, my expectations are like very high versus if I go to the Ramada Inn in some bodunk town in Arkansas, my expectations are much lower, right? So are you charging $10,000 for your SEO services, or are you charging $500, right? So what does your client not expect, but desire from your service? So as I'm going through my processes, my onboarding, my sales strategy, I'm going through fulfillment, how often do I talk to my clients? All of these touch points, what level of service do I believe I'm actually providing to the client? Now, there's 2 more levels, and these are the levels where it gets fun. Level number 4 is surprising. How are we surprising our clients? And what happens when we surprise them? When we surprise our clients, guys, it builds loyalty. We're starting to build loyalty. So like, let me give you an example. Most of our partners that sell SEO, on average, they make about $1,000 per month. And these clients stay a long term. Long term. What would it look like for you? And this would be crazy. Just hear me out. what would it look like for you that every client, once they hit 4 months with you, you bought them a cruise? A Royal Caribbean cruise costs around $1,000 for 2 people. And that's like a 4 or 5 day cruise. What would it look like to give your clients a free all-inclusive cruise for them and their wife or spouse or whatever? It would be incredible. Would you be surprised? Heck yes. Do you think this client would leave you the next month or the next month? Dude, it's going to be tough for him to. I had a client the other day. He was so happy. One of his other providers, I noticed when I got on a video call with him, he had a brand new chair. Like a beautiful branded chair. It was like a $700 chair. You see, one of his other partners realized the other day that his chair, he had some beautiful background visuals in his video, but his chair was completely off color. Like it was blue and the colors were red. And immediately this partner sent him a chair. He showed up in the, guys, it was a $700 investment for a very long-term relationship that was worth thousands and thousands of dollars. How are you surprising your clients? I mean, another example could be just simply like, hey, I do digital marketing services, but I noticed that you really needed a VA. So I went out and I found 2 or 3 companies that I would love for you to talk to because I think they could add a lot of value. Is this my job? No. Did my client expect me to do it? No. Did they even desire for me to do it? Probably not. But I wanted to go above and beyond for my clients to make sure that they knew I was working for them, that I was there for them, that I cared about their success. And through that, I'm building loyalty. The Bible says love covers a multitude of sins. And this is true for a business. Doesn't matter if you're religious or not. It's irrelevant, but it's true. Like with my wife, the more rapport we've built, the more love I show for her, the more things I do for her and for us. Not if, but when I screw up, it's so much easier to overcome. The more rapport we've built with someone, the easier it is to overcome any obstacle that you have. Guys, the fifth level is unbelievable. How do we create an experience for our clients that's just like, oh my gosh, like I wanted this. It would have been great if we had this, but they went above and beyond for me. They're doing everything they can to make sure that they're there for me. Like, how do we go through, again, like going through each one of these touch points with our clients, from the sales process to the onboarding process to the how often we communicate, how often do we email, how do we go through each one of these touch points and just take them one level up? If they're basic, try to make them more desirable. If they're desirable, how can we make them more surprising? If they're surprising, how do we make them more unbelievable? In one of the keynotes, Ron Kaufman, the guy I mentioned in the beginning of this video, he mentioned he works with Singapore Airlines, one of the most amazing airlines in the world. And they got all the way down to one of the most frustrating touch points in an airport is security. It's TSA. Well, there's nothing Singapore Airlines can do about TSA. I mean, they're the government. What are you going to do? And in his talk, he said they finally convinced TSA to just do one little thing. Going forward, TSA at Singapore, what they do is they say, hey, can you give me the passport? Would you like a mint? They just put a bowl of mints there. Now, did they make it an unbelievable experience? Nah. But they took something that was very basic and at least made it desired or maybe even surprising. I honestly am surprised by such a little action, right? How do we change up our process? I want to tell you a story, and this is the last part of this video, so just one more minute, so bear with me. I'm going to tell you a story. Back in the day, before I was married, I was a financial advisor. This was way back in the day. I was a financial advisor for a bank in downtown Nashville. And so every day I would suit up. I was doing really well. I loved it. I loved life. And if you know anything about banking in the US, it's predominantly female. Like most staff is female. And so I had the privilege in my, 7 years of banking, I started when I was 17, that in most places I worked at, I was the only dude. And I was the young dude and I was a single dude. And so it was like the mission normally of the women I worked with to like set me up on a date. And so what you would find is if a cute girl walked into the office, like everyone would be busy and they would force me to wait on or help or work with said girl, right? And so it was beautiful. It was awesome. Now, one time, guys, I kid you not. I mean, you've seen this before. You know those girls that just make you, or the guys that like, you're like, holy crap, they are gorgeous. They just stop you immediately in your tracks because they're so gorgeous. Like, this girl was fine. And sure enough, all the ladies in the office were all of a sudden busy. And so I walked out and was like, hey, ma'am, how can I help you? So she walked in my office. Turned out her dad was this guru, whatever, in California. She was moving to Nashville to open a new office. She was a multimillionaire. She was young. She was beautiful. It was an amazing time period. Now, I knew that I was leaving the bank in a few months. So I guess that gave me some sense of courage because I asked this girl out. Now, I'm a good old boy from the South. Like, yeah, I wore a suit, but I got a 2.0 in college. I wasn't the smartest guy. I drove like a Jeep Wrangler with like the top off. You know, this was not my cup of tea. And so I knew that I needed to act quick. So I just told her, I was like, hey, listen, and again, I don't know what I was thinking. I probably could have gotten fired. Hopefully the bank never watches this video. But I was like, hey, you know what? You're new to the city. I've been here a while. Let me take you out. I know a really fancy restaurant in Nashville. And so she said yes. All right. I'm getting to the story. Bear with me, right? Because the forefront is funny. One of my clients in the private banking sector was the owner of this super fancy Italian restaurant. One of those restaurants that don't have the pricing on the menu. It was nuts. So I call him up and listen, Javier, I have a problem. The problem is I have a hot, amazing, wealthy date tonight. The problem is that I need to fool her into thinking I'm something I'm not so that we can get married by the end of the night. Because if we don't do that, it's never going to last. And sure enough, we had one and only one date. But the experience of this restaurant was what I'm getting at. Javier was like, dude, bro, I got you. Don't worry. I got you. So here we are, like 8 o'clock at night. We pull up to the restaurant. I pull up. Immediately, the valet comes around and is like, Mr. Hite, welcome back. I'm like, oh, snap. What in the world? This is crazy. But you got to play it off, right? Cute girl. She's super fancy. She's probably used to this stuff. So I'm like, oh, no big deal. Like, you're with me now, right? And so the valet comes around. I go around to get her. And then we start going in. And the same thing happened. The little lady the hostess, sorry, McDonald's doesn't have these. The hostess right there, she goes, Mr. Hite, your table, as usual, is already ready for you. Come with me, right? And I'm like, boom, like this is incredible. Right now, it's not surprising. It's an unbelievable experience, right? And so we go in, we sit at the table, and immediately the wine comes out. I don't drink, so that was a little weird, but wine comes out, bread comes out, everything starts pouring. The waiter comes over. I mean, it's like a 5-star. It's incredible experience, right? Like I cannot wait to get home. Like I didn't Instagram it right there because that would be weird and it would show that I was not normally in these type of situations. So I had to play it cool, but holy crap, I was going to talk about this tonight. So we're at this restaurant, we eat, we do all this stuff. The owner comes out, my friend Javier, starts talking to her, is like, oh, this is my best customer ever. Starts, guys, I'm about to get engaged. Like this is going down. She's super impressed. It's amazing. Holy cow. Or at least I thought. But then, because remember, it's every single touch point. And one touch point can ruin everything. Guys, if you onboard and you sell really well, but then you don't communicate, what's going to happen? If you communicate really well, but your price point is just so outrageous that it makes it hard for you to succeed, what's going to happen? You see, when me and this girl, I don't even remember her name now, when we went outside, we literally waited 45 minutes on our car. 45 minutes on our car in downtown Nashville in the winter. It was freezing cold. She got frustrated. I was frustrated. In fact, I even called Javier, or actually he called me. He was like, hey, how did it go? And I was like, man, listen, everything was amazing. It was perfect. It was unbelievable. And then I used one word that I've used ever since then. But I had to wait almost an hour in my car. You see, this is a restaurant without pricing. It was stupid expensive. But it was all ruined by the wait that I had to do, the wait that I experienced. These guys ended up firing, I think, that company not too long after because they kept having these issues and it was causing them real problems, real anxiety. Guys, You have to look at every touch point. Every touch point. You gotta see, how can I elevate this from basic all the way to unbelievable? Guys, if this video added any value at all, make sure to subscribe, make sure to like, again, do all of those crazy YouTube stuff. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video.